Welcome to the Insurance Technology Podcast. I'm your host, Reid. Today I'm here in beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. It's actually a really beautiful day outside at the House of Blues in the VIP because we're doing Insurtech Boston. But joining me in the podcast is Jen Linton. You are the founder and CEO of Fenris. Welcome, Jen.
Thanks, Reid, for having me. I can't believe how cool this place is.
It really is cool, right? I know.
Yes.
It's great. It's going to be really fun later. So it's going to be awesome. You're getting on stage later.
I am. Don't remind me.
It's a big stage. It's a big
the
stage.
Biggest.
It is.
A lot of great
stage
groups.
itself is big.
Epic.
No, it's going to be good. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
So before we get into the business stuff, let's talk about you. The listeners really like to know about you, your background, where you grew up. So let's start with that. Where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I had a pretty good childhood. I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Oh, yeah,
in the
nice.
suburbs. We had a big family, 6 kids. We had horses, a goat, a sheep at one point, some dogs, some chickens. It's pretty idyllic.
That's awesome. I love Salt Lake. I do. I love Utah. When I was a kid, when I graduated high school, me and a bunch of buddies just went out there for like a month. And
During the winter?
No,
or summer?
Summer.
Oh.
And we just backpacked, trout fished, and it was fun. I love
great
that place.
outdoors.
Yeah. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, well, I had a really good role model in my mom. And my mom had, not only could she rustle everything that was happening at home, but she had a home-based business.
Mm-hmm.
She had this flavoring supply chain sort of business. And so I watched her, she was amazing. And I wanted to be her. I didn't have really big aspirations as a kid because, when the UPS truck comes to your home every day and you get to answer the phone and you have a part-time job working for your mom, you're kind of like, that's really cool. I want to do that. It was either that or be a teacher. Those were the two.
So what was your favorite hobby, sport?
Yeah, so growing up, I rode a lot of bikes, and these aren't the dirt bike kind. This is just, the pedal bike.
Yeah.
And I played
like
a little bit of
bikes,
volleyball.
BMX bikes, mountain bikes?
No, we were way too poor for stuff like that, and that was way too dangerous. My mom had nothing to do with that stuff. But my hobbies were I was just, my parents were very much into education. So, school was super, super important to us. I participated in things like the academic decathlon and, did nerdy things, science bowls.
Very
silly,
smart
nerdy things. Well, at the time, it felt like it was a really cool thing to do. And now I look back and I'm like, everybody, had way cooler hobbies than I did as a kid.
So then what? So graduate high school in Salt Lake, I guess.
Yeah.
So college, military, what happened next?
So 2 things. First, I went to college. I went ahead and studied molecular biology with a minor in chemistry. So I started to explore some different things. I really liked the frameworks, the scientific method, how do you explore and learn about the world? And that really opened up my mind. And then I also served a mission for my church. Back then, I was a practicing Mormon.
Oh, wow.
Which I'm not as active anymore. In fact, I would say I just really appreciate the culture. Mm-hmm. But, life changes you change, and you move on and you experience new and different things. But it was very shaping in my early years.
Yeah. So tell me about that. So after college, internship, what was next career-wise?
So after I got through college, I went ahead and I did 2 different jobs. The first one was, I went into the molecular biology field, so I was a microbiologist. And I was wearing a white lab coat with the safety glasses, hard-toed shoes, right, and a pipette in my hand. Do you picture me that way?
No.
It wasn't a good fit. I'm a more outgoing, extroverted person. I do like to explore and learn about the world, but not in a laboratory, sterile setting. Yeah. And so that quickly went away, even though I can actually call myself a registered microbiologist. I took and passed that test. So I'm sure that not many people can lay claims to that. But then I really started to branch out, and I went to work for an educational software firm. And that's when I became more business oriented, because I started to understand the nature of when you want to run a business, you have product and people, and you have to put things out the door and meet your challenges. And so that started me down the path.
It's funny. I just interviewed Kate Terry, and she went to school for chemistry. And she said that she loved the schoolwork and classwork, but the lab work was just so you were just solitude, kind of doing this thing and testing all these things. And so she kind of walked away from it because she couldn't handle it. She wanted to interact with humans.
Yeah. And if you're at all clumsy, more than one Erlenmeyer flask went to its demise at my hands. So it's not a great place to be.
So educational software.
Yes, educational software. And then I had a chance to move across country. I was married at the time, and we moved across country, and I entered into a full-time MBA program. So that was the complete retraining of my brain. Yeah. Right. They hardwired me in a complete. First, they broke us all down. It was a really great program. It was Darden at the University of Virginia, and they call themselves the Harvard of the South. So it's the Socratic method and all. But there's the reason why they tell you it's going to be the hardest 2 years of your life up till that point. And it's true. You don't see your family. You're there from dawn to dusk, and you're literally working your guts out across 10 different classes, and functional areas as they train you. And the beautiful thing about Darden for me was, most of my classmates had 4 to 6 years of experience prior to coming back. So when they would speak in the classrooms, I felt like I had gained some of the knowledge that they had, right? I didn't have a business background deeply entrenched in that, but through them, I was sort of able, osmosis, through the science, of course, but I was able to kind of pick up more of the learnings that they had gotten. And I felt like I've always gravitated back to my business school classmates because they kind of helped shape who I am in the business world.
Do you still keep in touch?
Yes, very much.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Got to go to those reunions. I've gotten more than one job offer, too, from college, from classmates from the business school, or hired more than one classmate.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
It kind of stays with you over the years.
Yeah. So then what? What happened next?
Oh, goodness. So after Darden, I had about a 10-year career working for very large corporations, obviously, right? So I went to work for McKesson, which is a medical surgical supply company. And I headed up a little bit of their corporate strategy, mergers and acquisitions, plugging holes for the CEO. When he would come to a point where he's like, look, we want to grow. It's a new market. Give me a plan, a strategy, a way to attack that. And then go find and scout the companies we want to acquire to do a roll-up or a plug the whole strategy. So I did that for several years. Then I switched and went to work for a big retailer that you'll know the name, Circuit City.
Oh, yes, Circuit City, yes.
700 stores. I was in the corporate headquarters, and I loved it. It was so exciting to me to be close to a customer experience, right? Everything before that had been sort of top-down strategy, and now I was flush in the middle of, all right, how do you walk the floor of a retail environment, right? And why do they put certain things in certain places, an action alley in the middle where people grab and go?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the fact that we were connecting to people a little more closely. And so I spent a few years at Circuit City helping them launch a new project, new partnerships. I even, one of the accolades of my career, I wish 2009 hadn't happened. Don't you? Because Circuit City went the way of many companies that went bankrupt at that time. But yeah, indeed, my career in retail was cut short by the financial crisis of 2009.
It's sad to see the Circuit City's gone. I can still picture like the buildings, like, and all of it. Like they had that unique, and I can remember the commercials when I was a kid. It was,
There was a specific design that they had. It was called Pluggy.
Okay.
Do you remember the front of the store?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so you have to roll it out time after time repeatedly, but it would look like a giant plug.
Oh, was that what it was? Design? Okay.
Yeah. And then
so it's like the block in front of it.
Yep,
yeah, totally.
That's what that was.
It was a block. That's awesome.
Way back in the day. Yeah. So that for me, that was really fun and exciting, and I loved doing it. But it really, I didn't even get my insurance career started until I'd already had a previous career in a couple of different areas.
Totally. So then tell us about that.
Yeah. Doesn't everybody have a how I got started in insurance story?
Yes.
And it's usually not like they're proud of it, right? They're like, oh, I got dragged in, such and such. And I was really lucky. I had a friend from business school call me up, and he said, hey, I'm going to start a carrier from scratch. I want you to meet my board, and it's probably going to be a lot of fun. And at that point, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I was in. I loved it. Loved the idea, loved the hard problems. And I cannot tell you the number of learnings that I had, right? I mean, do you remember some of your first, this is weird about insurance? And then the people that have been in insurance for 10, 15, 20 years, they look at you like, no, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
It's not weird. You're like, no, I beg to differ. But some of the funny ones that I remember is First time I heard about a cat loss, what do you picture? You probably don't picture a feline getting, disappearing. And, I was kind of a math and science person. And so when I heard about combined ratios, it took me months to figure out this complicated math process where a combined ratio above 100 is a bad thing. Because up until then in my entire life, you get more than 100, there must be some bonus points, right?
Totally.
It's a great thing. But no, there's the biggest learning I got from that one when we launched Elephant Insurance. It was how challenging it is to operate in a 50-state regulatory environment. I think people underestimate quite often that insurance is its own unique beast and its own unique breed of things, and depending on the line, you really have to grapple with some almost existential issues around the regulatory environment.
We had a previous guest, and when I asked, what would you fix in insurance? That's what she said.
She would wave a wand and...
Yeah, like that, start there, something.
That's so interesting. Yeah, the parent company for Elephant was a UK company. And, I had a difficult time explaining to the board why it was so hard in the US. Their mindset was there's 65 million people in the UK and we're all governed by one Office of Fair Trade, right? One set of rules.
Yeah.
How hard could it be? They'd often ask that. How hard could it be? It was hard. Yeah. And I think it's just one of those things that we see time and time again is it's a barrier to entry, but it is also, I think, a protection. Once you do establish yourself and you're above board, it's a higher level for anyone to really get a startup going. Yeah, so true. So is that a good thing then? It is. It is what it is. Do you think it's a good thing? I don't know. It's a good question. I think it can be for a competitor, not, keeping competitors from coming into the market. I'll take that. I think that's good. I think that there's things where you could bring new products to market a lot faster and do some things overall in the industry that would maybe help. So I could see both sides. But I think there's a lot of unnecessary red tape around a lot of things just generally, but that's life. It's, it is what it is. That could help us in many ways, but well, it's not going away. That I know. Yeah. So get comfortable with it and use it to your advantage, right? Yeah. So so tell me more. So then what? So after Elephant, the next startup that I joined, I had a friend from Progressive. Also, he had been an alumni of the same business school, so we'd gotten to know each other. And he had run their Snapshot program. Oh yeah. So he left thinking that he would create a company that would deliver white label telematics platforms. And we would do that in the US primarily. And we went and got venture capital funding. We built a platform. We were able to do our own hardware. I mean, I now know more about China and supply chain issues than I should as an insurance person, right? Yeah. Because the whole OBD2 port, you would plug that in. Oh yeah. And we even did a design for in the UK where it's backwards. You can't often get to that OBD2 port where the mechanic will plug in, right, to take the diagnostics of the engine. In the European They're
cars?
just hit. They're such the.
Oh, I got you.
They're hidden behind a panel.
Yeah.
So we did something for the cigarette lighter, a 12-volt, a form factor for that. We did that. We did mobile apps. We were collecting the sensor data from all types of device types and even OEM, bringing it to the platform and then scoring driving behaviors. So that was the start of a very early telematics play. I think you have someone today on stage that's going to talk about a later stage telematics play, but we're talking, very early days. Yeah. It was still forming. And there was, the biggest barrier for us at this instance was the IP issues. So Progressive had a lot of wonderful patents in this space. Oh, yeah, I bet. And when I would go and talk to the companies that we were targeting in the US, we would get quite far. We would explain the benefits, the hardware, the software, the program, and we were ready to try with our early adopter group. And then often the lawyers would come in. Well, what are we going to do about, patent protection and challenges? And so it zipped up. And that's actually what delayed the US from adopting telematics quite a few years past the other countries. Oh, interesting. So we did a shift. We pivoted, and we ended up targeting companies outside the U.S. So I was able to launch programs like in the UK, in New Zealand, in Sweden. I did a lot of work in Canada. Never got somebody to launch in Canada, though. But it was just a lot of work. And after 5 years, I think its time had come. We were able to we persevered. Had great success. We also had a lot of challenges, and we sold the company to CCC, which is a claim software provider. So that was my first exit, truly.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then you exited, and then what? You just went to the beach every day, and that was it? You're done?
So what do you think a founder should do when they exit? They should take some time off.
Nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
I'm with you on that. Maybe get back into shape.
At least I really believe that if you are a founder and you've done the grind, now if you came into something and you were there for like a year or two, I think everybody should take some time. But if you are a true founder and you went through the hell of it, I think everybody should take at least 4 or 5 months off.
1 month for every year of your life.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, that's a good
that sounds like a breakup strategy, but I get you. I didn't do that. I jumped right into the corporate world. I went to work this big company called Allianz, which is much bigger abroad than it is in the U.S.
Oh, yeah.
I went to work for the CEO. I was their VP of New Markets, so I was examining opportunities in the U.S. for organic growth, and as well as like bolt-on acquisitions.
Oh, wow.
And so that's when,
how did you fall into that?
They designed the role for me. It was interesting, right? I mean, after you exit, you kind of don't know what to do with yourself. I got to admit.
Oh yeah.
So you want to try something different, and do you know how resource starved it is at a startup?
Mm-hmm.
Like ridiculously.
Oh,
right?
I do. Yes.
Yes. So it was super attractive to think I'm going to have a big title.
Yeah.
I'm going to have people to work with beyond my little team. Mm-hmm. And I was all in for that one too. A big paycheck. So I just embarked in this really great journey. And let me tell you how much I loved that experience and why I'll never do it again. I got to do incredible things. They trusted me to learn everything about their business. I would go to the call center and buddy jack in next to the call center agent and hear a first notice of loss call or hear the resolution as they repatriated somebody who might have had an accident overseas. And to get to see the care, right, and the nurturing and all of the things that they stood behind. Because, in fact, insurance exists to pay claims, right? And so to see them carry this service out was awesome. I'd sit with the actuaries at lunch and I'd let them beat me terribly at whatever card game it was they were playing. And that's how I learned a little bit more about their jobs and their roles and the challenges. And I would even descend into the very bowels of the basement where the mail team worked, and I'd stuff deck pages into the envelopes, right?
Oh, wow.
And just learned every bit about the business, all while still doing my full-time day job, and oftentimes being presenting the results of findings or recommendations that we had so that the executives could decide, hey, we're going to go ahead and move forward with this strategy or execute and move into this new vertical. But I was kind of a dichotomy of things. And the reason why I'll never do it again is I cannot thrive in a bureaucratic environment. When I see committees meet to decide things with all the evidence placed in front of them, but they still can't decide, and they might take 6 months of back and forth, in my heart, I just think, why don't you just put it out there and try it?
Yeah, totally.
And you'll have an answer in the 6-month period of time. And so that was, for me, kind of the aha moment. I said, oh, well, I guess I'm a startup person now. I'm really not suited for the corporate world anymore because I don't stomach those sort of posturings, right? For good reason, though. You have to protect, right, a large entity. But startups don't have all of that to protect.
Right,
so we can take more risk.
100%. So then what?
I started Fenris. That's how I got to Fenris.
So that was it. So did you take any time after that?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
So you're like, okay, I'm over it. I'm over it. I need a change.
Yeah.
Time to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So which is crazy. It's terrifying for most people.
It is, and I'll be really honest. I didn't want to do my own thing. I wanted to find a co-founder and do it with somebody.
Yep.
And so I will write a book someday called Death by 1,000 Coffees. Because I was like, you want to go to coffee? Yeah, you want to go to coffee, right? And I had a lot of coffee meetings. And I was sort of hunting for that right companion, sort of, a person that could offset all of my weaknesses and have a different set of strengths that we would need to go forward and create a killer business plan. And I wrote a great business plan. I was still doing coffees, still meeting people. And eventually, I remember this call like yesterday. I had called one of my mentors, and he had invested in the telematics company, right? So I'd gotten to know him really well. He's a phenomenal individual. He's the former CEO of FICO, and he created the FICO score in the 90s. Yeah. And, if you just look at that success story and the strategic decisions they made to embed that score into just the fabric of all financial decisioning. Yeah. So to peek behind the curtain on that was great. So I had a call and I said, Larry, I'm thinking about this. And Reid, for at least 45 minutes, I just spewed whatever vomit came out of my mouth about, I'm interested in this and this and this. And I think there's an angle here because I saw this problem when I was at Elephant Insurance, and I think I can solve it differently and better. And he heard that and he grabbed it and he said, so are you asking me to invest? Thank God it was on the phone and not on a Zoom, because he would have seen me just completely go, what? That wasn't even in my head. And so the pause, and he said, because I'm in. I'll write you your first $100,000 check.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
To have someone like that believe in you.
Yeah, totally.
It absolutely set the stage. I had to do it now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So that was the start.
So tell us about the business. What is the business?
So the business of Fenris, it's got a couple layers, but it's a really interesting data aggregation play first and foremost. So customers know us as the API that delivers the data that they need to pre-fill auto, home, life, and small business insurance.
Okay.
And we do that in a way that's really high quality, it's fast, and it's really accurate. Right? It takes the friction out. So people know us for that today. But that's really just the start. So we had to aggregate all of that data and create our own unique proprietary data sets for insurance purposes so we could build the next layer, which is our predictive engine, our machine learning engine. So yes, so that was the big thing for me, is I wanted to get to the point, my vision has been, hey, I think we're putting a lot of data and insight into underwriting and claims. And we're not connecting the dots to have that insight as early as possible.
Yeah, totally.
Pre-underwriting.
The predictive side, yeah.
So I wanted to bring some of those quality insights and the data so that almost I would have a crystal ball, right? What's going to happen if I bring this applicant in? Is it going to be a good match for me? Am I going to be able to underwrite it profitably, right? What products can I round it with? And so I thought, nobody's tackled that in insurance yet, and I'm going to go for it. And the benefit of it, it's also less regulated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So for that reason, right, I've sat with a lot of departments and commissioners of insurance discussing this. And
yeah, I would assume it is somewhat regulated. It's not.
It's regulated by market conduct and those kinds of rules.
Okay.
But because you can't rate or decline with our data, it avoids some of that additional need to file with the states.
Gotcha. Huh.
So there you go. So we found a great angle, I think. We began promoting the products out there, and a lot of people were early adopters. They would come work with us. And over time, it's just like a snowball effect, right? And I'll talk about it today, but you can see how over time, it starts with a direct sales process. 0 to 1 is all about product market fit. 1 to 10 is more about sales and moving the founder out of that sales process. Founder-led sales is by nature, it will be capped. So you have to create the repeatability. And then we moved into distribution plays. One of the applied net companies placed us into the quote workflow for the comparative rater. And that gives us now 30,000 plus agencies access for them to utilize it, all pre-integrated. They don't have to think a thing about technology. They can just use their software. And we continue to build and build. And we're about to hit some pretty big milestones. I'll share with them on the stage. But if I look back, I'm pretty psyched about where we've been and where we're going. And I think we're just getting started.
That's pretty awesome.
Thanks.
How does it feel?
How does it feel? Well, at some points in time, it's really exhilarating. And at some points in time, it's just really demoralizing. What does a founder ever feel, right? Nothing but highs and lows. There's very little in between.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. More highs or more lows?
Getting to be, on the average, as you average it out, it is balancing out as an upward trend, which we like to see up and to the right. But it doesn't matter. I mean, the lows will come.
Yeah,
and that's part of buying into this ability to just sort of stay the course, right? You just have to have that sort of resilience. And you cannot put your worth on the results. You have to put your worth on the learnings.
It's really cool.
Thanks. It's taken me a few tries to get here. So don't worry. By this time next year, I think I'll be just even better.
You think that in your business now, and maybe this a question I shouldn't ask, but for you, is it a lifestyle business, or is this something that you want to package up and sell one day?
Oh, it's not a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
We're venture capital backed, so I've raised several rounds of funds.
Yep.
And I believe that this actually has an infrastructure play to go after it. So will we exit? Probably not very soon.
Yeah.
Because we still have several big milestones to hit.
Yeah, but that's the goal.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. It's to change and impact. Now, the reason why it's the goal, I will say two things as well. I am an early stage founder. So when this company gets to a certain stage in time, I think I'm going to be self-aware enough, or my board will help me to become self-aware enough that I am not the right leader at that time. Yeah. Right? There are other people that are much better at running businesses in stasis where growth rates are under 100%. You know, they're pretty good at that.
Totally.
I'd say put someone in charge of it.
Totally.
But that just opens up the possibility. If I do have an exit here, I think I have one or two more in me. My husband's on board, the most important person. I just have a couple more things I'd love to give it a shot. I just think there's so much possibility in the insurance world. You know, coming to it later, seeing it through different eyes than someone who grew up in it, I think it exposes more of the challenges, but more of the opportunities.
You consider yourself a leader?
Yeah, I do. And it's important to embrace that. I didn't have a lot of female founders who were my idols or role models growing up, obviously. So I think being a leader, it's really important to embrace that and put it on the shelf. Because I have 3 kids. They're all girls. And I want them to be able to see people like Kate, who you just interviewed.
Yeah.
I mean, she is so inspiring.
Right?
Absolutely. They're not going to find me inspiring, but they'll find her inspiring.
And they'll find you inspiring.
I think you got to put out all the versions of inspiring, whatever that is. Right. Yeah. And so that's why I try to be a leader. But a leader's really, their job is to really persuade and lead by example, but also just to lead the charge and to support the people who are contributing. You have to know, like in my old days, I would look at managers, right? There's a big difference. A manager has people, projects, budgets. It's pretty specific. There's KPIs.
Yep.
A leader's very undefined, and I kind of like that. You get to go out and decide for yourself, what are my metrics, right, today? And go for it.
What do you think the most important trait of a leader is?
Oh, good question there, Reid. It's going to change from day to day. But I do think if that leader doesn't have a solid vision based on facts and experiences, right? If you can't lead the vision, there's no one else on the company that can.
Yeah.
It won't have a North Star or a direction. So you have to be somewhat stubborn as a leader, I think, and open to feedback, but you have to set the vision.
Yeah, totally. Run with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because no one else will.
Let's go back to insurance technology. What type of technology do you think is going to have the greatest impact in our industry?
Yeah, so all the buzz, right? AI.
Yeah, that's what everybody
says it. Yeah, and we're on the branch. So I think of it as the sort of the generative or the conversational AI and then machine learning, and we exist on the machine learning side.
Yeah, okay.
So at this point, we've trained our models, our base models, with tens of millions of outcomes, and we've tuned them for dozens of clients. So the opportunity I see is to sort of take that solid sort of scientific approach, right? And it solves a specific problem and it has a specific result, and continue to implement and increase that. Whereas on the generative AI side, I think it's still a great tech. I just don't know what problem it's going to solve adequately. And that's where I don't see the fit yet. But people will continue to experiment and they'll find some really big gems, and I'm all in for that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why wouldn't I? If my life could get better and I could get Taco Bell delivered with a drone, right? And never leave my house again, and AI could do my job for me. No, none of that's going to, actually change the world. But, I mean, do people really fear AI? I think so. We want to talk about it that way, but we understand that the human connection is not something that can ever be done away with.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. Doesn't scare me.
Yeah.
Some people are deathly afraid of it. There's some people that are like lose sleep over it, but I don't think so. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it'll just augment some of the things that we're already doing and help us in ways. And the jobs, people are worried about their jobs. The jobs are just going to change,
There you go.
And so you got to keep up with it. If you think your job's in jeopardy, well, you got to start thinking of what's next.
Yeah. learn how to embrace it and move with it, because truly this is a tidal wave coming at us.
Totally.
And we can't really run away from it.
Totally. If you could fix one problem in the insurance industry, what would it be?
This one, I thought about all of the different issues in the insurance industry, and it's actually not the insurance industry that I would fix. If I could wave that magic wand, I would change people's perception of the insurance industry. I think a lot of people, and we saw Lemonade play into this, right? When they first came out, their messaging was, we're not going to be like the big guys and scam you or cheat you or not pay.
Right.
I mean, I want to say that quietly because I always feel like that's a real disservice to the insurance industry. It's a safety net. It's the last resort sometimes for people to put their lives back together again.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like insurance needs a PR campaign to get better. But I really wish we could change the public perception, because I think when people see it as, hey, I'm paying for a service that I never use, I hope I never use. If I call them to use it, sometimes, they're really slow to help me.
Yeah.
If we could change all of that and people viewed it, we would probably move as a society forward faster. We would have less GoFundMe accounts running around, right?
Right, totally.
And even in life insurance, I think we're at less than 40% people carry life insurance. And so can you imagine if we could fix that, how people embraced it and realized it's really, truly valuable?
Yeah, so true.
It could be better. So let's get a PR campaign, just like Got Milk,
insurance.
Just for the dairy industry. Let's make sure people love their insurance.
I don't know, though. It's a tough one. I can see what you're saying there.
Yeah.
And it does make sense to change it, and it would change lives in that way. And if more people had insurance and were covered correctly,
yes,
I guess ultimately...
And didn't scam.
Yeah,
right?
we're more responsible. I mean, fraud's a huge issue.
Yeah.
It would benefit all of us.
Yeah.
In so many ways. And they use things like telematics as well,
Yeah, people have adopted that since I left that into that piece.
Did you hear the recent thing that happened with, who was it? It was like OnStar, like Chevy and all of that, General Motors, GM. Did you hear? That's crazy.
In the thick of it, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I was able to actually, I was at a conference a couple of weeks ago, and one of the gentlemen, I won't name a lot of names here, but he works closely with OEMs, and they are basically the storage of that data. And he explained how they've had to really examine. Like some of them are being very forthright. Like when you sign up for certain things, it might be buried in the T's and C's. You don't realize it. They go back 2, 3, 4 times. Not within the purchase pathway either, right? When you're just like, get me through this, I will click any button.
Right, totally.
And they go back and try to make sure people truly understand what the data is that you're sharing, right? Why it might be sensitive or not. And I think it runs into some trouble, but he ultimately, like I said, I was very early in the telematics space, and the challenges that they face today are just the certain things that now we're talking about regulations going to come in.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And we've got a lot of uproar. And when a USA Today or New York Times articles start getting written, then our elected officials start to get involved.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of benefits from telematics, to be honest. I've always thought it could help save lives. It could make people safer drivers.
Yeah.
But we haven't reached that yet in insurance. It's still viewed as more of a penalty, because your rate can go up or down based on your driving behavior.
Right.
So we're not as evolved yet fully as we need to be as a society to, I think, fully embrace 100% telematics. And I'm not sure I'll live that long either.
I am terrified by all the new vehicles that I own and drive.
You're a car guy, too.
I am a total car guy. And the data that they have, I mean, my insurance is insane. I'm a complete non-standard risk, 100%.
Really?
Oh yeah, big time. And so, but like, I mean, having that, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. Like, if I jump in my girlfriend's car and I drive that.
How would they know? Yeah.
It makes her look terrible. Yeah. If I'm borrowing a car for a month, let's just say. Yeah. But yeah. Any advice you'd give entrepreneurs coming into the insurance technology space?
Sure. I love to talk to folks. I always ask, what are you passionate about? What problems do you see that you want to solve? Because if you're not fully vested in this problem you're going to solve, I promise you, a 5 to 10 year journey is not for you, right?
Yeah.
And they always think they can do it quickly. I'll fix it quick. No, absolutely not. So I want to make sure they have a big enough problem to solve and that they know enough. Like that means you may come in with some ideas about how to solve a problem, but if you don't really subject it to rigor, if you don't really test and learn and adapt, then unfortunately your solution will be a point in time. And over time, we move past it. So, it's really just staying ahead of the curve. You've got to stay up. You've got to listen. You want to know the truth, Reid? If someone came to me and said, I think I want to be an entrepreneur, I might tell them not to do it. I might try to unsell them. You know why? If they don't really stand up against that kind of resistance. Yeah,
totally. That's a good point. They'll push back and like, no, I'm doing the things I can. Yeah.
They do not have.
No, that's true.
Whatever you want to call it for it.
It's like a good first test. It's
It's a mind trick, but yeah.
Yeah, totally. Huh.
I might have to push them all to say, don't do it. Yeah. I don't know if I'd wish this on my worst enemy, right? But when you fall into it and it's what you do and it's what you love and you find out you're actually good at some parts of it, that's the reward. So if they're slightly socially awkward, I think they'll be a great founder. If they're really passionate and driven, they could be a great founder. But you have to have all of the ingredients and a lot of luck come together. Totally.
How do you define success?
Success is, it's definitely not an end point. It's more something along the journey for me. Early in life, I was sort of taught that no amount of success that you have outside of the home can compensate for failure in the home. So for me, it is also very personal. It's about my personal well-being and my relationships. But beyond the personal, I think success, if you can achieve what you set out to do, and along the way, people respect you for it. They may not like you, and that's totally fine. That took a while to learn too, right? But as long as you're sticking to your commitments and making progress along the way, I think every step along the way is success. And I love a little bit of fun mixed in.
What do you do for fun?
Not anything much nowadays. I work a lot. But my husband and I, we have 4 dogs. So we're always out with the dogs running around. I have the 3 girls. They make me so proud, right? The last one is still home with us. So yeah, there's a lot of still thinking about, well, goodness, how are your grades? Let's study a little bit of math together. So we do a lot of things like that. But fun, I don't really have any fun. This is fun. Isn't that odd? I mean, I'm pretty driven. I always have been. But yeah, no, I can't even tell you what I do for fun. I'm sure that I relax, but this is what my fun is.
I don't believe that there's such thing as work-life balance. I think it's just all life.
Fantastic. Fluctuated with a few moments of, yeah.
I mean, sometimes we all hate work. Let's be real, but it is just life.
It is. That's what we choose. That's what I love. I love being able to choose what I do.
If you had unlimited time, what would you do?
So it's actually my plan at some point. I plan to take some years and I want to be able to travel to a different place, a remote place in the world for about 3 months at a time. Experience the culture, learn how to cook learn the language, and give back a little bit, help out, help elevate some of the people. But I'd love to do that repeatedly. And I figure as long as I come home for 3 months out of every year, I'll be fine. I won't run, against any of the visa laws out there.
Do you give back? How do you give back?
It's tough when I feel like my first commitment is to the company, my investors, my stakeholders, my employees, my customers. I feel like I have to first, sort of like in the airplane, right? I got to take care of myself, and then I can take care of them. But beyond that, yes, I have a real love for underrepresented founders, right? I feel that kind of speaks to me, and so when there are opportunities for me to, I was just interviewed for an article, so I try to step out of my comfort zone. To show, doing this interview is me stepping out of my comfort zone, Reid. But I try to do those things, and in some way, I think this is giving back. I think it's helping other people to see what I couldn't see. I didn't have a lot of great female mentors or people that think differently, right? Mentors. And so I just want to put it out there. It's okay. Be yourself. Be authentic. And if that helps anyone, right, then I hope I've given something back.
Question. Did you ever play an instrument?
Oh, there were 5 years I played piano until my piano teacher made me quit. True story. Yep.
Like you're just not cut out for it. It's been 5 years.
It was more, I would say, yeah, I know. I practiced really hard, and I'd sit down, and she's like, you didn't touch the piano. So I was wasting her time, and she kicked me out.
That's awesome. All right, last question. Do you drink? If so, what is your favorite drink?
I didn't drink until I was 35.
Wow, nothing.
Nothing, no alcohol, no coffee.
No coffee, no caffeine, no alcohol.
Oh, you could drink Diet Coke.
Okay.
Lots of Diet Coke. These are very,
just not coffee.
These are very these are health codes.
Diet Coke's way better for you than coffee.
For your teeth and everything. I do enjoy a glass of wine. I'm a real fan of just trying new things, because for me it's still it's something that if I get a beer or a glass of wine, it's kind of like, hey, I'm an adult. It's pretty cool. But I never needed it, right? Growing up, I just never needed that. And I'm also glad I didn't, because as a founder, sometimes I think we tend to have a more of an addictive personality. So I'm actually really glad that through some of my formative years where maybe I was a little more hell-bent, right?
Yeah.
I didn't have the balance as well, the non-life balance, work-life balance. But yeah, so I'm grateful for that. And I'll gladly get a beer with you sometime.
All right. Sounds good. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Well, thanks again for this, Jen. This is really awesome.
Thanks, Reid. I really appreciate
coming
it.
out. And I'm looking forward to seeing you later today.
Same.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
It is going to be a lot of fun. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.